Facebook has created a rule book for its moderators to use when censoring possibly offensive posts from its nearly 2 billion users. This according to a new report from The Guardian. The social network has been under pressure for failing to prevent the circulation of violent images and hate speech, and recently said it would add 3,000 employees to review obscene posts. The Guardian obtained copies of thousands of slides and photos that the company shared with moderators last year as guidelines. Joining us now, Sarah Fryer, our Bloomberg Tech reporter, who covers Facebook. This is a really interesting report. What's your main takeaway here?
I think this is fascinating to us because all of these things have happened behind the scenes in this sort of black box where we don't know why. When Facebook comes back from a user report and says, this doesn't violate our community standards, we don't know why they think that. And now here The Guardian is unmasking some of these standards, which Facebook has not yet confirmed. And it's just fascinating to look at the different things. Like, for example, if I make a credible threat to you, that can be taken down. But if I make sort of a throwaway threat that is not specific about when I might hurt you, that's fine.
So let's take a look at some of these. They're a little confusing. Videos of violent death may be allowed if used to create awareness around issues like mental health. Images of child abuse are removed if it's shared with, quote, sadism and celebration. Otherwise, it can remain and be remarked as disturbing. Animal abuse is allowed, but maybe need to be classified as disturbing. Thought it was worth it to mention the specifics because some of these moderators are saying they have 10 seconds to decide whether to remove it.
Right.
And these are kind of intense calculations that need to be made in that time.
Very intense calculations, and I think that is one reason why Facebook realizes that it's incredibly understaffed in these efforts, and adding all those people around the world, the 3,000 employees that you mentioned. These are hard decisions, and these are very human decisions. These are ones that they cannot yet tackle with artificial intelligence, and they're counting on these workers, in many cases contractors, to make these calls about what should remain on this network. And it is a difficult call because some of those things you mentioned sound like they shouldn't belong on Facebook, right? They sound really creepy or violent.
I wouldn't want to see them in my feed.
Absolutely, I wouldn't either. But the company's trying to refrain from being any sort of censor. I mean, they certainly censor quite a bit, but they don't want to cross that line where they're preventing people from expressing themselves on the platform and driving users away.
Meantime, Mark Zuckerberg is on his state-by-state tour. Right now, there's been a lot of speculation about whether he'll run for president, run for some kind of public office. He actually posted about this saying, some of you have asked if this means I'm running for public office. I'm not. I'm doing it to get a broader perspective to make sure we are best serving our community. He also talked a little bit about how he's gathering research for whether Facebook should be more involved in telling you people you should know rather than simply connecting to you to people you do know.
Right.
What do you make of this?
Right, so Zuckerberg has talked a lot this year about creating meaningful connections in people's groups, things that make them feel like Facebook is a helpful resource to them as opposed to the network that exposes them to the violent acts and angry things that we just talked about with the Guardian report. Zuckerberg saying that this trip is all about a revelation for what he can do with the platform, I actually think it's a little bit more than that. I mean, Facebook's biggest problem right now, it's not in the financials, it's in the company's public image. They've been dealing with these issues like fake news and fake accounts and extremist propaganda. They've been dealing with quite a bit from regulators in Europe over privacy, and Zuckerberg needs to go out there and be a politician. Right. Whether it's for running for office down the line or not, Zuckerberg needs to reshape Facebook's image as something that can be a force for good in the world.
And by the way,